a really high quality way to deliver our legal services, perhaps at a fixed price or at least a very well-defined price point, and skip the number of hours. It'll be our business how we deliver that outcome at that price point. You shouldn't care, client, as long as you get the service you want, the outcome you want, the quality you want, at the price you're willing to pay. We have every incentive now to say, how can we reduce our cost of delivering that service? How do we make that TV by using lesser expensive parts, or finding efficiencies in our supply chain so that we're putting them on the backs of trucks that are already going to Walmart instead of getting a new truck to go to Walmart? How are we looking at our entire assembly line and saying, how do we lower the cost of delivering legal services? And the first reaction they say is, oh, you know we don't build TVs here, right, Tim? Right? Anyone at the LMA conference a couple years ago in Vegas where we had the Zappos person talk? Anyone remember that? Yeah, the person from Zappos. Everyone here has bought shoes from Zappos, right? It's a fantastic website, great customer service, great prices. The person from Zappos was talking about customer engagement and customer service. And by and large, the feedback on that session was very good, but those who didn't like it were more puzzled than angry. What they said was, did that person not know that we work with law firms, we don't sell shoes? I would expect it of our lawyers. They have a real challenge at times of extrapolating these business lessons to their own model, but we as marketers should be better at it. So this is the learning curve model. Commoditization is not a four-letter word, right? You've seen this probably before, the pyramid of legal services. There's a lot of legal work that's repetitive, commodity, low-cost stuff. Other firms do that somewhere else, not us. We do mostly the important stuff. The clients are willing to pay more for. It's really critical to their businesses. And we also, of course, do this bet the company stuff. We do that, compelling, really high-priced, price insensitive. The CEO calls us up and says, price is no object, we're hiring you. And then we hire BTI and Acritas to do a study to figure out where we are in this pyramid, right? And the reality is, we're all over the pyramid because we're a collection of practices. And each one of our practices might occupy a different place in that value perception of the client. So maybe the tax practice is down here, but our IP practice is up here, but the firm down the street is the exact opposite, right? So where we fall is a function of our practices. Now, even within the practices, there are certain tasks the clients are saying, you know what, yeah, I value this outcome, and I value this partner's perspective, but I'm not paying premium rates for this task. This task I can outsource to someone else, or I can take it in-house at a much lower cost, right? So as the supply of people who can do the more important work goes up, the rates go down. Commoditization is not a four-letter word. It happens. The TV analogy I gave you works in law firms too. That's why partners are not doing the same things they were doing as fourth-year associates. They move on to new things. And when the clients no longer pay those premium rates, they should find something new to do. Rather than keep trying to find dumb clients who are willing to pay high rates for something they can get cheaper elsewhere. It's business, it's a cycle, that's how it works. Commoditization is inevitable. So rather than worry about it or complain that the consultants are trying to commoditize it, the fact is the clients are already there. The only ones that don't know it are the lawyers. This is a fun topic we could spend hours on. Procurement. Who here loves procurement? Has them on your holiday card list? Procurement folks at key clients bring you send pitches and RFPs. Lovely people, aren't they? They do kill puppies. It's proven. No. Procurement is what the clients are using to help them understand and rationalize legal spending. That book up there, it's now changed. It's Buying Legal. Dr. Sylvia Hodges, she just issued a new one from the Buying Legal Council. It went from $400 to like $49. You should buy it. I wrote a chapter in it called Why CEOs Love Procurement. The reason they love procurement is very simple. Not because they're looking for the cheapest provider. They're looking as a business for a cost advantage. And to have a cost advantage, you've got to systematically, every day, look at your entire enterprise and say, what are we doing inefficiently and how do we extract cost out of that? Now, that could mean negotiating more favorable rates, but it could also mean finding the right provider that doesn't make us do it twice. And that's where law firms misunderstand the role of procurement. They are analysts, and they're also befuddled by the legal profession. There's a lot of smart ones now who've been doing this a couple of years, but by and large, if I'm buying toilet paper in week 1 and week 2 I'm assigned to the legal department, they come to us and they say, I know nothing about law firms, help me understand. And we say, oh, go look at our websites. We'll tell you how we're different. And they scroll through and they say, oh, look, scales of justice, tall buildings, shaking hands, diverse pictures of people. How are you different? Well, look at Chambers, because you know, there's no one who knows us better than the 22-year-old ex-journalism student who decided that we're tier 1. What? So the procurement folks are saying, we've got a framework, we've got a grid of how we rank our providers, help us understand how you are different. And we say, hey, we've got the best rates in town. Our lawyers are smarter, more quality. As someone told me last week, they said, yeah, but our firm is different. We really care about our clients. Oh, check. The others hate them, right? So procurement's job, well, they hurt us at times when we're doing pitches and we think they're looking for just cost, and some, don't get me wrong, there's some really bad ones looking at cost. But the good ones are saying, help us understand how we're different. So they're using tools like this. Now this is getting discontinued, it may still exist, I don't know, but Time Metrics, which is one of several, of Skylines, there's Serengeti, there's Lexis Council Link, there's a couple different tools out there that help you understand what are the rates that people are paying. Now we can look at the various, is it Valorum, Value something or other out of DC. There's also Peer Monitor. So there's services we can buy to see what our competitors are publishing as their preferred rates. Doesn't mean that's what they're getting, right? So we benchmark against other published rates. But the reality is, tools like this, and we can go buy these. You can call Time Metrics tomorrow or Sky Analytics tomorrow, and you can buy a tool to do a database check to say, for our services, are we above, below, or at market rates? Based on actual paid invoices by thousands and thousands of clients over 10 years. So billions of dollars of legal spend been analyzed, and they're showing it to us. Now first they've showed it to corporate counsel, and corporate counsel and procurement folks are saying, all right, well, I've seen that most law firms sort of cluster around this price point for the service, and you're up here. Help me understand why you're different. Well, we have really smart lawyers. Okay, that's not enough. I'm gonna have to go pick one of these other providers. And their partners say, see, the bean counter's winning. It's not the bean counter's winning. It's us not articulating why we're different. If we are different, let's prove it. Let's find that scorecard of how they measure their outside counsel, and let's prove beyond a shadow of a doubt how we're better. But here's our response. I know, wink, wink, AFA, you just want a discount, right? You get 1,000 of these. Right? This is what we do. We often just lower our rates. Now, here's a simple depiction of law firm profitability. If this is our profits, or this is our revenue, let's say a third of our revenue, by and large, goes to our people, right? And let's say a third of our revenue goes to our other overhead costs, right? That means what's left is our profit. When we offer a discount, and let's call this, I don't know, 30% profit. When we offer a discount to a client, whether it's up front, whether it's during collections, whatever, wherever it is, and we offer a discount, are we taking a discount off the entire? Where's that discount hitting disproportionately? Our profits. Why? Think about this for a second. If you're helping a partner respond to an RFP or produce a pitch that demonstrates a 15% discount, do you agree to take 15% less in your compensation if we win this work? No. Our costs as a business don't change. So where that impact of a discount hits is only in our profits. So discounting is a really bad idea. Now, I know clients are pushing back. Yes, of course they are, they're pushing back. So I'm not saying we never have to discount, but maybe it's a price point issue. Maybe if we lower our price, we could make more money. What happened? Did time expire? That's weird. So now I'm going to have to act out using a skit all the graphics that I have in this. Huh. Well, if it comes back, it comes back. All right. Who here likes wine? Who here had 4 glasses this morning at the airport? No, I like wine, but I don't pretend to know a lot about wine. I like going to parties and having wine. When someone else buys it, I'm happy to drink it. If they ask me to buy it, uh-oh. Go to a house party down the street, I'm asked to bring a bottle of wine. I go to the wine store, I have two choices. I can go to the back, the dusty section, and pick that French bottle of words I don't understand and go, ooh, $97, looks quality. Or do I go to my daughter who's 22 and she's got a trunk full of boxes of White Zin? And do I say, can I borrow one of those for the house party? What would you do? You buy the dusty bottle of wine because you don't know anything about wine. That's what I do, right? So I buy the dusty bottle of wine because as a poor consumer of wines, I equate price with quality. Price is a proxy for quality. Think about that. We do that a lot, right? You go to the medicine aisle and you have a cold, right? You look at the 10 different things up there. This one's for stuffy head, this one's for fever, this one's extra strength, this one's maximum. I don't know which one's like the highest price. One down from that I'm going to buy. Because we use price as a proxy for quality for a lot of different things. Thank you. Right? So that's the way we market as a profession. The procurement folks say, why are you good? And we say, well, we have the luxury of generating the highest rates in town because we're high quality. Oh, good for you. And what is it you do that gives you the ability to charge those high rates? Well, we have the best lawyers from the best schools. Oh, and why are they the best lawyers? Well, because we get the highest rates. Okay. Right, so they're challenged. They're saying, you're using price as a proxy for quality as sellers. As buyers too, right? There's a lot of GCs who suck at this. Don't get me wrong. They've understood the power of the wall in the last 5 or 6 years. But you're seeing a shift happening. The first couple of years of this economic recession, we saw the GCs, some of whom fit the stereotype of, oh, I couldn't hack it in a big firm, so I'm going to go work in a house, right? But most of them were smart business people who chose a different lifestyle. They didn't want to be sleeping under the conference room table. They're great lawyers, they're great people, but they weren't business people. They were lawyers working in a company. And so when the economy hit, their boss came to them and said, cut your legal expenses, they did. They asked for discounts, we all accepted them. But 5 years in, they're pushing back and they're saying to their CFO, I can't discount anymore, my law firms are rebelling. You know, and they're pretty healthy now. Many of them are doing really well, and they're going to say, you know, we're not going to work for you anymore. And the CFO has said, yes, exactly. It's never been about squeezing your suppliers. It's always been about continuous improvement, figuring out a different way to manage your law department and reduce the overall need for legal services. And when you do hire the right person at the right time so we don't have to go this endless dance and negotiating before and after. We get the right person to do the work, we pay them what we agreed. It's an ecosystem. So that's one of the challenges we're facing. All right, so in your graphics, or in your thing there, you see my little pictures of trees, which have to do with legal project management, right? Client calls up and says, I need something, and we listen to them, we start working on it, we deliver something that's completely different. But what they're asking for was a rubber tire swing. I know the little small graphics, right? We argue about project management as if it's somehow some sort of way to commoditize legal services and cost us money. But the reality is, it's simply saying, what is it we're trying to accomplish? Let's start doing that legal work up front. If the clients are paying us 82 cents on the dollar, that's after all of our write-downs and after the work we didn't even do in the first place, they're saying that we don't value some of the stuff you're doing. So let's find the stuff they don't value and stop doing it. Or, if we have to do it, let's find a lower cost way of delivering it. Who here remembers, where I live in the Northeast, United is a big carrier. US Air probably had one as well, but United decided to take on Southwest a few years ago. Anyone remember the carrier that they launched to do that? It's called TED, like United TED. I'm gonna go fly TED. They launched a discount airline. Now, their goal was to try to say, Southwest, stop trying to take away our fares, our business fares, for people going from Chicago or Denver to Phoenix and Dallas. And so they offered lower cost fares on United planes that are repainted to say TED. Did anyone see the flaw in the thinking? They lowered their rates, so now that they are competing with Southwest fares. So what used to be a $250 fare is now $79. Southwest laughed all the way to the bank. Why? Because United, its entire cost structure is based on big business fares, big main city airports with the highest cost slips and the most convenient places with the most frequent flights with 1,000 different plane types. Southwest is the exact opposite view. They have one plane type, or did. So any pilot can fly any route. They fly mostly to secondary cities, unless they can negotiate fire cell rates for the best airports in town, right? And they fly multiple segments rather than have the hub approach. So their entire DNA is on cost containment, whereas United, all they're doing is lowering their rates. The recipe for failure. So what we do as a profession when we discount our rates without looking at the way we deliver services is we are destined to dilute our profits. Which is why process improvement and project management go hand in hand with AFAs. If we are discounting our rates or if we're accepting non-hourly rates, we have to look at the way we deliver legal services. That's the new economic model, right? This learning curve I talked about, the way we do it, we've done it 1,000 times, then our project management, our process improvement should be easy. And we should no longer have to worry about the firm on the edge of town that wants to do this. Mostly they do matrimonial law, but they decided they want to represent Samsung in IP litigation. And we're worried because they're lower cost. Why worry? They have no experience in this area. We're going to be far more capable of doing the work. We're going to have budgets and predictable processes the clients are going to love and adhere to, even if our price point is higher. That's the economic model that we're talking about. So the learning curve model allows us to unlock the value of our experience. We don't like to say it out loud, but our profession is based on making money from pretending we're not experienced. Chambers says we've done it 100 times, but we bill as if it's the first time we've done it, because we have to maximize the hours. Wouldn't it be great if we could bill, forget how many hours it takes, but we could bill what the client is willing to pay, they value it, they love our work, and we can find great profits by finding efficiencies in the way we do it. It could mean over time that we become smaller, possibly. It doesn't rule out the notion that we could be a big, huge global law firm. It just says that our way of making profits is not just by increasing our size, it's by increasing our efficiency. So the new economic model we're talking about is that learning curve model. So there's a couple slides in here that talk about the rules model and the new learning curve model and the benefits. And look at the benefits of the new learning curve model. Collaboration is critical. You can't work in isolation, right? Client satisfaction is a fundamental driver of profit. Why? Because retention rates, clients hiring us again and again, is critical. Clients hiring across 6 practice areas versus 1 is critical. Absolutely critical. We do that because they love the way we operate, they love our experience. Rates is like the 9th thing on the list of the things they worry about with us. That's how we do it. When our lawyers complain that loyalty's dead, the person that golfed with for 20 years that fired him because our rates were too high, well, loyalty goes to those who can deliver what the clients are looking for. It's not just about personal friendships. As a business person, I can't make a bad economic decision because we're pals. And that's what the in-house counsel are forced to do. They're saying, I have to make business decisions, because if I don't, I got procurement looking over my shoulder. And they're going to make a different decision. May not make it a better decision, but it's a different decision. So I've got to make those decisions. So that's the idea. I gave you an example of a decision tree in there, which is really, for anyone who's a JD in here, it fits very well with the way the lawyers think. So when we talk about project management, we talk about predictable budgets, they're missing the entire point if they think we're commoditizing the profession. The way to unlock that learning curve and make money through experience is to say, we've done it 1,000 times, let's map it out. It's not about clean up pile 2, someone dropped mayonnaise. It's about unlocking that value by saying we've done it 1,000 times. So therefore, let's map it out. We don't know if it's going to be this price, and it's going to take 6 months and 4 days, but we know that it's highly probable that when we start, given the fact pattern we know, it'll go left versus right. And when it goes left, it has 3 choices after that, based on the circumstances we're facing. Maybe it's litigation. Well, we can't guarantee anything past summary judgment, but after summary judgment, 1 or 2 things will happen. We've won, and we close up shop, or we have to now continue to defend. If we have to continue to defend, there's a finite number of scenarios. In other words, through experience, we lay out this decision tree, this map, and the lawyers say, why did you do that? Exactly. That's why we're missing such an opportunity. Our lawyers are already thinking along these lines. That's how they train their associates. It's how they think of a case. But they're confused by the notion of thinking that we're just discounting our rates and we've got to somehow find a way to accommodate cheaper people and tighten our belts. It's about saying no. Unlock the value of our experience using tools like project management, process improvement. That is the economic driver of the future. So the difference is today we're focused on utilization, realization, leverage, expenses, and speed of collections. And there are inherent conflicts in those mechanics, right? So if I'm hoarding hours, I'm going to hurt my leverage, right? If I'm discounting because I want to win the work, well, then I'm hurting profits. right? If I'm focused on keeping people busy, then I may not be having the right staffing ratios. If I'm focused on the right staffing ratios, maybe I've got partners who aren't busy, their compensation is impacted. A lot of moving parts, and it's not easy. So the point here today was not to confuse you with all the numbers and the concepts, but to say, wait a minute, these things matter. So as we go about our marketing jobs, the more we can think about, all right, will this tactic, will this targeting opportunity, will this seminar that brings in new people, will this help keep us busy? Which of our practice groups are underutilized? Maybe we can dial up our efforts to get them busier. Which of our practices are highly utilized but their profitability is suffering? Or maybe their realization is suffering? How can we help? Maybe we start looking at our internal numbers if we have access to the systems, if not befriend someone in finance. We look at this client we worked for 5 times, but their realization rate's the lowest of all of our clients. Why would we keep pursuing work? Well, if we're going to, maybe we figure out a way to improve the realization rates. Otherwise, when the lawyer says, who should we go after next? Well, let's do a marketing campaign to find these clients over here, they pay the most. Maybe it's a hospital group versus these restaurants we're working with. Let's find different clients that have better economics. We can start to infuse what we do, or what we know about the economics with what we do and how we inform their decisions. It won't happen overnight, but once they see that we have an understanding of the economic foundations, at least as good as theirs, and we have, based on today, a head start over what they understand about the new model, because they haven't seen law firms operate this way, right? We have an understanding that this learning curve model can unlock our experience. It's a lot more fun to market experience, right, than it is to market inefficiency, which is, we don't like to admit it, but what we've done. Make sense? Comments, questions? Anyone head ready to explode? Yeah.
Question on your decision tree. You have 4 outcomes there. If you're trying to price that project, average the cost of those 4 outcomes?
Good question. So if you look at the decision tree, we're not going to spend a lot of time on decision trees, but one of the things to do is to illustrate to the client that there are options, right? The client's trying to reduce surprise. They're not necessarily looking for an exact number right now. What they're saying is, how much can you predict and how far? Because they're often faced with quarterly or even monthly budget reviews. So if you can say, for this phase here, we're fairly certain, high confidence interval that this is going to be the cost. But beyond this point, there's less certainty. So we're going to present to you a couple options. If it goes this direction, if it goes that direction, there's a third direction, might have different price points. Again, we may not know enough now, but we're presenting the options. And we're not even asking them to choose, we're simply saying, we've seen the options. So when that day comes and it turns out to go the more expensive route, they're not saying, oh damn it, you surprised us again. They're saying, oh, what a bummer. You told us that was a possibility. And as it turns out, you know, that'll be our reality. So we don't have to try to reduce it to a number. When the client says, I need a budget, they're not saying, I need a budget for the whole thing in one number right now. And simply by walking them through something like a decision tree or a project plan, we demonstrate our experience in a far more visible manner than the people who say, yeah, here's a number.
This might be a totally different lecture, but I find that the hard part is that the compensation models that are in place make it hard to change behavior because they're focused on a certain thing that's directly in opposition to kind of what we would want to do in terms of these new economic models. So how do we kind of get around that to get to this place that you're talking about?
That's a great observation. It is the #1 hurdle right now, is our compensation is by and large based on one of 2 things. Either producing the hours, meaning doing the work myself, or generating the work, or some combination thereof, right? And so there is no element, or very little element for profit, right? So I could have the most profitable engagement, but I'm going to be paid less than a guy who had a very unprofitable engagement but generated more hours. So the fastest growing area of my practice right now is compensation redesign, which is scary for partners. It is the most disruptive thing we could talk about, and it is the most heated discussion, which is why I had to change my plans to be in DC yesterday. I was meeting with a comp committee and a management committee of the law firm that were at odds. The comp committee sort of saw the future and wanted to make changes, and the management committee's like, that will never fly. And as owners with votes, they could choose to have a horrible status quo over potential better outcome. And so they wanted me to come help mediate. So whether it's me or whether there's other people, there's folks talking about compensation. You're right. About a year ago in Atlanta at a conference, there was a room full of managing partners, about 80 of them. I sort of looked them in the eye and I said, guys, I've been doing this for a long time, working on project management, AFAs, process improvement. Sooner or later, we run into a roadblock. We go from a pilot of 1 practice, 2 practices, or you know, 1 partner to 5 partners, but sooner or later we hit a wall. And that wall is, I'm not paid to be efficient. And so it never goes firm wide. right? Firms like Sci-Fark, you may have heard about, that really embrace this sort of lean approach. They've adjusted their comp, and so there's a reason to do so. So I challenged these managing partners. I said, I dare you. If you think you want to change and adapt to the changing times, let's talk compensation. Let's do it first rather than after. And there's a couple firms doing that. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of interesting. And yet again, like everything else in law firm land, the notions of these compensation plans are not new. What a surprise. We've got to pay someone who produces the work. We call that sales. Oh, we've got to pay someone who does the work, right? That's account management in many businesses, right? We've got to pay the manufacturing team as well as paying the executives, as well as paying. These are not concepts that are hard to build into a comp plan, yet they've tried to have one comp plan apply to everyone. Corporate comp plans I used to write for my executive staff were 2 pages long. I worked on one yesterday that was 26 pages long. And there were 1,000 things that they thought weren't covered properly in it. Just ridiculous. There's a lot better ways to do it. So great observation. Yeah, comp is an issue. Other points? Okay, I know it's getting hot. Be tired, brains hurt, want to go back. So thank you for your time. I hope it was helpful.